Carlos. Despite supply chain issues, owner Dave Jackson's great team of employees at your Clinton Save-A-Lot are working to keep their shelves stocked to save you up to 40% every day. Find out more by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Peterson Insurance Services in Clinton is a 2014 Pekin Insurance Illinois Agency of the Year. Jay Peterson here from Peterson Insurance. Find out about Pekin's auto, home, or life insurance by clicking on our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Dr. Bradley Grant here, owner of Midstate Eye in Clinton and Shelbyville. Myself, my fellow doctors, and our staff at both locations want to take this time to wish our hundreds of patients and friends across Central Illinois a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We're honored that you've selected Midstate Eye for your family's eye care, and we're blessed to provide so many with improved vision. Merry Christmas from your friends at Midstate Eye in Clinton and Shelbyville, providing the eye care you deserve.
Well, the flu season is here again, and our Warner Hospital and Health Services walk-in clinic inside our family medicine clinic is ready to treat you. CEO Paul Scowen here, reminding you when you suffer from all those symptoms that are caused by flu-like fever, headache, congestion, and that blah feeling. Come to us. No appointment, no problem at the Warner Hospital walk-in clinic. Get here and get feeling better. Just another way we provide quality care close to home.
The WHOW Morning Show is now video streamed live on the WHOW WEZC DeWittDailyNews.com Facebook page and on the new WHOW TV YouTube channel. Watch Morning Show host Seth Lawrence interview guests live, as well as watch archived video podcasts of any interview you missed. Whether on Facebook or YouTube, we're providing two more ways that Central Illinois' local news station, WHOW, delivers compelling content for you.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Joining us in this segment of the program, State Representative Dan Caulkins. Good morning, Mr. Representative. How are you?
Seth, good morning. Great to be with you.
Yeah, appreciate you making time for us. I know things are busy in your life, and we appreciate you making a few minutes for us. And let's go back to last week's veto session, Dan, and highlight. I know that Illinois Democrats put through some minor adjustments to the safety legislation. Talk a little bit about what they did and what that means for the legislation.
Well, for the last 2 years, since they passed that bill, the Republicans have been very critical of it. We tried to help reform that bill before it ever reached the House floor. And of course, they had no use for us. They didn't want to change anything. It was a big deal. So after taking a pounding for 2 years by Republicans and state's attorneys, sheriffs, police, the whole law enforcement community, the judges, they finally succumbed and proposed several changes. I don't believe this will be the last changes we'll see, but there were some really they took some good advice and made some changes that will be helpful, but it certainly is not going to fix all of the issues.
Mm-hmm. Now, what did they fix, Dan, specifically? Like, dive into the changes and adjustments that they made in the bill.
Well, one of the things that we had talked about was this trespassing. If somebody was going to trespass on your property, the police could not remove them. They could just give them a ticket. That was a hot button issue that got addressed, and now in the new bill or the revised bill, if someone is trespassing on your property and it's a you can make the case that it's a threat, the police can will be able to remove them. So that part was changed. There are about 6 or 7 other crimes that are going to be subject now to being held rather than just being released.
Mm-hmm.
here's kind of a quick example of why this bill is so flawed, and we, they just don't understand what's going on. They claim that they have changed the penalties for people for robbery, but actually the only thing they did is they changed the penalties for burglary. Now, there's a difference between burglary and robbery, but the Democrats don't seem to understand that in the legal sense. So they changed one part of it, but they didn't change the robbery part, which is very strange. I don't understand it. They couldn't explain it. I'm sure we'll be back sometime next year, and we'll have another fourth cleanup of a very bad bill.
Well, Dan, when it comes to the safety legislation and the things that were adjusted, like you said, there were some good things and certainly recommendations that Illinois Democrats took to heart in making those changes, but it still was rejected by Illinois Republicans in the vote. So talk a little bit about why that is.
Well, and I think a lot of that is political stuff. We don't want to be on record as supporting this bill in any way. It's a bad bill. It's bad law. And next week, there's going to be a hearing on whether it's even constitutional or not. And we really don't want to be associated as having any part of making this law. It's the Democrats' bill. They made it. They need to fix it. And we'll continue to push them to do that.
State Representative Dan Caulkins on the phone with us for this morning. Anything else on the safety legislation, Dan, that's of interest from the veto session?
Well, I think one of the things that we're going to see is a big increase in the cost of doing business at the county level. A lack of the funding mechanism is going to go away. A lot of the fines that people pay come out of their bond. And so if someone is convicted and they've posted a bond, the court then can go and take their fines and court fees out of that bond. When there is no bond, what's going to make people pay their bills? How are they going to pay their fine? What is going to make certain that they pay their fine and court costs? Because it's going to be very, very difficult to collect that money in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so what is the most concerning piece of this legislation now that some adjustments have been made? What's most concerning to you, Dan?
Well, I think first of all is how are we going to make sure that people pay their fines and court costs? Another part of it still needs to be worked out on the judges and the discretion they have or don't have to hold people. I see a lot of problems coming. There's going to be, I think, a lot of lawsuits, a lot of legal issues and wrangling about what a judge's power is. And I believe in most cases, the judges are going to err on the side of the community, and they are going to hold people in jail because they are a flight risk or a threat to the community or others. And that's going to create a lot of legal problems. Mm-hmm. Some of these people. So that's so much uncertainty still exists in that area. Uh-huh. And there's other pieces and parts of this puzzle. Funding. There's mandates for cameras, body cameras, which are good, but the small police forces, law enforcement agencies don't have the funding. There's a little bit of money in the bill for that funding, but it doesn't, not nearly enough, and it's a one-time fund. But the problem isn't just the purchase of body cameras; it's storing the images. I mean, you're going to have to, the sheriff's departments, police departments, the state police are going to have to maintain these files for years, and that's a lot of storage. You're talking video storage, and that's very, very expensive. It's the only place that money can come from is property taxes.
Yeah, well, and Dan, there's still if I'm not mistaken, the pending litigation in Kankakee County, which is a combination of, I want to say 50 plus Illinois counties lawsuits against the governor and the state of Illinois and numerous other people. Is that still pending with these changes? How do the changes impact that lawsuit? I
have not seen any state's attorney drop out of the lawsuit. So that court case is going forward this week. I believe it's this week that there'll be a hearing. If not, it'll be early next week. The judge has promised to make a quick ruling. And by that, I mean within a week or 10 days of the hearing, that there'll be a ruling that will come down. So that case will be heard, and no matter who wins or loses, I think the losing side will appeal it. And we'll be going through this process for quite a while.
Yeah, it'll ultimately go to the Illinois Supreme Court, if I'm not mistaken. And so, yeah, it'll and probably will be the legislation, at least, will be probably held up there. So, yeah. Dan, as it relates to safety and those sorts of things, just again, final thoughts on that. Did we get to everything of note from your perspective?
I think so. This is one of these typical, you got to pass a bill to know what's in it. This is, you're going to have to implement this bill to know how it works or doesn't work on the practical sense. Our intuition, our feedback tells us that this isn't going to work well, and I don't believe it's going to turn out well for people on their property tax bills in the next couple of years.
Well, Dan, I'll tell you what, let's take a time out here, sir. Come back with some more. State Representative Dan Caulkins on the phone with me. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. More to come on the morning show.
WHOW.
Hey everybody, I'm Buddy Wilson, your new country financial agent in Clinton. Let me help you protect what's important to you at a price you can afford. You can do this by clicking on my icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
For the latest in Central Illinois agricultural news, visit IllinoisFarmRadio.com. Get updated information on markets, weather, ag news, local interviews with NAFB farm broadcaster Jared White, and much, much more. All at IllinoisFarmRadio.com.
Your local radio stations are here for you. No subscriptions or monthly fees necessary. We're here to give you the news, weather, and traffic you need, and the music you love. But if the foreign-owned record labels get their way, it could stop the music. They want Congress to force radio stations to pay them more money, simply to play their music. Don't let radio go silent. Text LOCAL to 52886 and tell Congress to protect local radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Warner Hospital providing ENT health and otolaryngology services to DeWitt County with Gibson Area Hospital and Dr. Jonathan Glickstein. Your ENT health is important, and Dr. Glickstein is an experienced otolaryngologist specializing in ear, nose, and throat conditions and head and neck surgery, dedicated to excellence in patient care for the best ENT services. Now seeing patients at the Warner Specialty Clinic in Clinton. To book your appointment in Clinton, call 217-784-2808.
Let's swing open the farm gate together every day on WHOW. I'm Stu Ellis, your host of the long-running agriculture feature called The Farm Gate. I bring the latest news and information on where agriculture is and where it's going to WHOW Ag listeners several times a day. From tariffs to treaties, from the Board of Trade to the running board on your truck, I cover Central Illinois agriculture every day on the Farm Gate. Hear it all on WHOW's many platforms, on the radio or online. Join me, Stu Ellis, for the Farm Gate.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. State Representative Dan Caulkins on the phone with me here for this morning. And Dan, I saw last week that the new legislature already considering assault weapons bans in Illinois as a part, of course, retaining supermajority status, and they have the Supreme Court and all those things. So what's your take on this? What's the latest?
Well, Seth, after we left town on Thursday in a rather cowardly move, State Rep Bob Morgan, who was the point person on the cannabis, recreational cannabis bill, submitted House Bill 5855. So people, if you're listening, grab a piece of paper and write this number down. It's House Bill 5855. And this is the most egregious attack on the Second Amendment that's ever happened anywhere in the United States. If you own a semi-automatic rifle or shotgun, there's a good chance, if it's a semi-automatic rifle particularly, there's a good chance that it's going to be on the list of weapons that will, A, no longer be able to be sold in Illinois, and B, if in fact you already own one of these, you'll have to register it. So this is a gun registry for those of us that happen to own a semi-automatic rifle, and it'll also ban future sales in Illinois. It also limits the magazine capacity. Particularly egregious is on pistols. I think it limits them to 9 rounds, which I believe is, if you have a 1911 single stack 45, classic 1911, that's what the magazine capacity is. It also it will eliminate extended capacity, any extended capacity magazine for semi-automatic rifle and pistol. There's a provision in there that makes converting a rifle or a pistol to automatic fire illegal. I don't know if anybody told Representative Morgan that that's a machine gun and it's illegal to own a machine gun without a proper license. What we're seeing, I understand the purpose. What we're seeing on some of these gang shootouts, these guys are, these criminals are modifying their pistol. So the thing fires an automatic. I don't know if you've ever held an automatic weapon, shoulder fired. There's no targeting. I mean, it becomes an area weapon. We had the switches on the M16 and the M14 where you could put them into full auto, but you had no control over, how close to your target the rounds go. Mm-hmm. But these guys are they're doing that with pistols. And I can't imagine holding a pistol and firing off, 13 rounds in an automatic mode. But that's in the bill. The other thing that's in the bill is the FOID card. If if you are under the age of 21, you are not eligible for a FOID card unless you are in the military. There is an exception for people that are in the military. So if you're old enough to vote and living on your own and you like to hunt as part of your culture down here, too bad. You cannot own a weapon under this bill. So those are kind of the lowlights, Seth. I'm sure this will be a hotly debated bill. It's just very difficult for me to understand. Bob Morgan is an attorney. Bob Morgan is a member of the Illinois General Assembly who took an oath to defend the Constitution. And yet he has proposed a blatantly unconstitutional bill. I don't know what the liability for that is, but we certainly hope to challenge that for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Dan, you know, I mean, fighting this thing, you know, since, like I mentioned at the top, Illinois Republicans are in the super minority almost across the board. It's going to have to be done in court, correct?
Well, we're not going to be able to stop it. This is, interestingly enough, and this is my own speculation, Seth, and take it for what it's worth. I believe that this is part of Governor Pritzker's platform. He wants this bill passed, whether it's constitutional or not. He doesn't care. He wants this assault weapons ban, as they call it, passed so that he can put this in his portfolio. I mean, you understand that, you know, since he's been the governor, the first thing we did was pass the $15 an hour minimum wage. We've expanded abortion rights in Illinois to include anyone up to and including, you know, the 9th month of pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And we've opened up all of these Planned Parenthood abortion centers across the state. So we're now a magnet for folks that are seeking abortion, and we're going to be paying for it, those that can't afford it, with public money. Then you take the Safety Act, which is this no cash bail element, and then we enshrined our workers' bargaining rights over the taxpayers in the Constitution in November. And then you stack on this assault weapons thing, and it's a perfect platform for Governor Pritzker to run for president. This whole agenda fits in perfectly with the far left base of the Democrat Party, and that's who he needs when he runs for president.
Dan, I tell you what, I've got to let you go for the morning. It's always good to talk to you, sir. Happy holidays to you and yours. Hang with me off the air for a minute. We'll touch base about our next conversations.
Thank you, Seth. Merry Christmas to everyone.
That is State Representative Dan Caulkins on the phone with us here for this morning. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson